The Safer Kentucky Act goes into effect on Monday. Many advocates for the unhoused community say the bill criminalizes homelessness.
However, as WKYT's Samantha Valentino shows us, it is expected to disproportionately impact people with less means in other ways, too. That's our top story at 5.
The Safer Kentucky Act will change the state's criminal landscape. One area that critics of the law take issue with is how it could negatively impact people with fewer resources.
I think that there are explicit statutes now that are going to disproportionately affect indigent people rather than people that have means.
Abe Mashney is a Lexington attorney.
A couple of those are the charitable bail bond organizations and the banning of those organizations to help people post bond in certain situations, as well as you can't post bond over $5,000, which eliminates a lot of people.
Criminal mischief is a felony. However, under House Bill 5, if the defendant pays restitution before trial, it drops to a misdemeanor.
For people without means, obviously they're going to be penalized for people that have the means.
Many advocates for the unhoused community argue the law criminalizes homelessness as it bans people from camping or sleeping in public areas. The penalty is a violation for the first offense and a Class B misdemeanor for the second.
If people really look at what they're saying, children they're not exempt from the bill. In other words, children can be charged and put in juvenile detention simply because they don't have a place to sleep at night.
As Monday approaches, Director of the Catholic Action Center, Ginny Ramsey, says many in Lexington's unhoused community are scared.
Just the law being passed says a lot. It says to them that they don't count. It says that they're being judged not by their character, but by their pocketbook and their lack thereof of resources.
In Lexington, Samantha Valentino, WKYT.